Kal Halayim, Yahweh Bahashem, Hamashiach, Wah, Hakadal Malak, Yahweh Shai, Shalom Israel. So the question was, how do we understand the Bible, right? How can I open the Bible, read it, and understand it? So the first scripture I want to pull real quick, Salakia. Going to Psalms 111, and I want verse 10, and it reads, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. All who follow his precepts have good understanding. To him belongs eternal praise." So in order to understand the Bible, it's simple. First and foremost, we absolutely must keep the commandments. I'm going to read that one more time because this right here, this is Psalm 111, verse 10, and it reads, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. All who follow his precepts have good understanding." So in order to read the Bible and understand it, you have to keep the commandments, right? You have to first learn the commandments. You know what I'm saying? Like that's such an important part. It's kind of like I used to use this example a lot. If you had a box of brownies, now on a cover of the box, you see these big, beautiful brownies, and you like, that looks so good. But when you open a box of brownies, that's not what's in there. You got some powder in there, right? So then what you got to do is you got to take that box and turn it to the side, and you got to read the instructions. These are the instructions. But it's not enough just to read the instructions, because reading the instructions alone ain't going to get you them brownies. You got to what? You got to follow the instructions. You got to do the instructions. And then if you do it correctly, if you do it right, then you just might have them beautiful brownies on the cover of that box, right? So it's important to keep the commandments. I'm thinking of this precept right now. Anything that you want, right, pertaining to existence, right? The Lord created all things. So anything that you want, you can have. This is Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." So no matter what it is that you want, you might sit there and say, well, I just want to kind of read the Bible and understand it. You know what I'm saying? Gotta be given to you, but you got to seek the kingdom. You understand? And his righteousness, which is his laws, statutes, commandments, And you could want anything, man. The saddest part about it, though, is that the Lord done already gave us so many things. Most people don't even know what's already theirs. Most Israelites in America think that they're African American. They think that their inheritance, what belongs to them, is promised to everybody. But it's not. It's promised to just them. So whatever it is that you want, you can attain it through keeping the commandments, man. Keeping the commandments is the beginning of everything. That's the foundation. That's why you go back here to the first 5 books of the Bible, and they're referred to as what? The milk. You know what I'm saying? There's a little bit of milk everywhere, to be honest with you. But chiefly, these first 5 books, the Tharawah, this is the milk. That's how we say it in the Hebrew. You know, Abar. So, again, I'm going to get a couple of the same commandments that I gave y'all when we talked the first time. Commandments that are easy to keep, that you should be keeping, because they're not very difficult. The very first commandment that I went to for y'all is Numbers chapter 15, and I'm going to start at verse 37, right? And it reads, "The Lord said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and say to them, throughout the generations to come, you are to make tassels on the corners of your garments with a blue cord attached to each tassel." Now, this is for the generations to come, meaning this is forever. Meaning we didn't just do this in the land of Israel. We was doing this in the wilderness. Long before we went into Egypt, our ancestors was in the wilderness for 40 years. So just think for a moment how long we was doing this. Yahweh Shah had tassels. So even after we had been conquered by the Babylonians, by the Persians, by the Greeks, because Yahweh Shah was born while we were still in captivity to the Romans. Basically how we are to this day. But Yahweh Shah had tassels, man. Yahweh Shah had his fridges. You know? Every time you see me, you know, you gotta keep those things, man. This is not a tough thing to do. What you see me wearing is literally royal apparel. This is what on TV they show you, like the king, right, and the queen, and you know they got on all of these diamonds and these flashy wardrobes. It's all garbage. All of that can be destroyed. But keeping the commandments is unto life and eternity and power. Oh my gosh. Yo, you have no idea, man. So you gotta, you know, I would keep reading, but I read this to you before. So long story short, man, you gotta wear tassels. You gotta wear your fridges. You know? Let me get this next one. Just give you a couple again, man. Right? So this is a classic. Leviticus chapter 11. I'm going to start at verse 1. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, say to the Israelites, of all the animals that live on the land where, Slakia, of all the animals that live on the land, these are the ones you may eat. So understand something first and foremost. Just because something is edible does not mean that it's food. You can eat a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Like, off the top of my head, man, I'm thinking about paper. I'm thinking, when we was little kids, you know, we used to be in damn school eating paper. I don't know what that was about. I really don't. But just because it's edible does not mean that it's food. You know, people eat all kind of weird stuff. Hair. It's not food, man. The Most High God literally said, of all the animals that live on the land, these are the ones you may eat. So certain animals are food. You know, certain plants are food. But not every plant is food. Are you going to eat some poison ivy? Are you going to eat some poison oak? that would be that man, that would be terrible. That would be stupid, right? So, verse 3, you may eat any animal that has a divided hoof and that chews the cud. So those are the two requirements that any animal has to meet in order for us to eat. Two requirements. So at a later time, we could kind of go into this a little bit deeper. But nevertheless, though, to simplify it, that makes sheep, goat, lamb, cows, deer, bison, stuff like that. Those are edible meats for us. You know what I'm saying? Not the pig. We don't eat pork. Not a camel, not a horse, not a damn cheetah, not a cat, not a dog. There's a lot of stuff that people call food that we don't eat. We don't eat rats. We don't eat rabbit, right? We don't eat damn squirrel or turtle. Nah, man. That's not food. So jumping down here to verse 9, right? Of all the creatures living in the water, of the seas and the streams, you may eat any that have fins and scales. So the two requirements right there's two more requirements when it comes to stuff that come out of the water. It has to have fins and it has to have scales. We're obviously talking about fish, but contrary to what was once popular belief, we modern day thought that we couldn't eat tuna, but we can eat tuna. Tuna does have scales. It obviously have fins. They have scales, but their scales are really, 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 really little. But what we don't eat, what's not food, catfish, shrimp, crab, lobsters, oysters, conch, octopus, calamari. We eat fish, okay? They have scales and they have fins. So those are the requirements, man. I'm going to jump down to verse 13. These are the birds you are to regard as unclean, and you may not eat because they are unclean. The eagle, the vulture, the black vulture, the red kite, any kind of black kite, any kind of raven, a horned owl, the screech owl, the gull, and any kind of hawk. Basically, the Most High God has given us a thorough rundown of what we should not be eating. So, safe animals to eat as far as animals with wings, chicken and turkey, and quail. You can't go wrong with them three right there. Chicken, turkey, and quail, man. Those are perfect. Yeah, we're not going to get into the insects. But nevertheless, though, if you want to understand the Bible, man, keep the commandments, like, and get into this thing, like, really, really, really get into this thing, like, love the Lord your God. You know what I'm saying? Love is priority. That's why you seek the kingdom first. Love is priority. It's what counts the most. It's what you do first. So, again, like I was hearkening on about people are blessed and don't even realize that they're blessed, right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, right? And I'm going to close out probably with this. Deuteronomy 28 verse 1, it reads, if you fully obey the Lord your God and carefully follow all his commandments I give you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all nations on the earth. Now, that's a big deal. That's a really big deal. Because right now we're at the bottom of all the nations on the earth, man. That every nation is above us. Why do you think the so-called white man, he tells us how to live, what we can eat, what we can't eat, what we could buy, what we can own, if we got to pay for it for the rest of our lives? The so-called white man is above us. Every nation is. The Arabs, the Indians, them nasty, funky, stinky Chinese people that come over here and do whatever the hell they want. You know, like, it's terrible, man. Like, we are at the bottom. But literally, it read, if you fully obey the Lord's commands, the Most High God said he would set us above. So instead of us going and filling out applications for food stamps and housing assistance, them crackers gonna be coming to us. Instead of us sitting here struggling every time we look up, being thrown in prison, beaten up by the police, and being killed, you know what I'm saying, broad daylight, by these people who call themselves, what they call themselves? Peace officers. Instead of that happening, man, we got to keep these commandments. We got to repent and keep these commandments. Verse 2, this is Deuteronomy 28. All these blessings will come on you and accompany you if you obey the Lord your God. You will be blessed in the city and blessed in the country. The fruit of your womb will be blessed, and the crops of your land and your livestock, the calves of your herds, and the lambs of your flocks. Salakia. Yo, your kids will be blessed, man. You know what I'm saying? This is, again, I don't want to go into this too deep because it's an entirely different subject of a Bible study. And the point is, I'm just telling you how to understand the Bible. If that's your current goal, you can have whatever you want by keeping these commandments. The Most High God done gave us so many things. If we continue to read Deuteronomy chapter 28, not only will you understand the Bible, right? But there are more things that you've been promised already. It's yours. But you don't know it because you don't know the Lord your God. And you don't have it because you ain't keeping commandments. And you'll never get it because the way that you go about getting things only leads to your death and destruction. I'm not going to read them. Man, I'm getting excited. I really want to go into this thing. But the next time we see each other, Lord willing, you'll have questions. You already know you can get in touch with me. Send me a text or whatever. And, hey, all praises to Yahweh. Kwam Yashala. Wa Shalom.